So if you're experiencing these terrible physical symptoms that convince you that there's something seriously wrong with you, if you're experiencing these intrusive thoughts that are so scary that it's easy to think that you're going crazy, or if you're getting these feelings of unreality, derealization, depersonalization that makes you question existence as a whole, these things are quite terrifying. And if you were like me, it was absolutely scary and you felt like you needed to get this fixed right away. And even though you went to doctors and everything was cleared, nobody seemed to understand. While all these things seem really dangerous, there's actually something about anxiety that's inherently even more dangerous. And the purpose of this video is I want to talk about how to avoid this and really focus on not just avoiding this danger, but actually getting to recovery, getting out of this so you can just go back to living freely. So let's get started. So believe it or not, I've seen a lot of people that have fully recovered, and no matter what they tell me, as long as they've gotten cleared up from their doctors and everything's been cleared and they've been classified as healthy, there's no real symptom that I see that really scares me. There's nothing that I have seen that I haven't already seen. But it's not actually the symptoms that is the scariest part. It's not the dizziness, the nausea, the palpitations, the scary intrusive thoughts, the digestive issues. I mean, the list goes on. These are not actually the scariest things. Now for you, if you're struggling with this, it seems absolutely terrifying. But when I look at individuals and help them focus on recovery, these aren't the things I actually focus on. The thing that I actually get concerned about is this. Here is the most dangerous part about anxiety, about what you're struggling with, which is thinking that this is a life sentence. That thinking that somehow you're unique or that your anxiety is so special that there's no way you're going to be able to get out of it. It's actually not even the symptoms, but it's actually the mindset. When I'm looking at people overcoming, that's the thing I look at. And that's the thing that I'm really concerned about. Do they feel like they're special? Do they feel like they're unique? Because chances are, if you're struggling with this, it feels very lonely. You've tried to talk to your friends, your family, medical professionals, and even though they deem you as healthy and they say, hey, look, you're fine, there's nothing there, you know something serious is wrong and you don't know what it is. And you can find people on forums that are struggling with maybe the same thing, but you've never met anybody coming out of it. So it's so easy to think that it's a life sentence. It's so easy to think that you're unique. The thing about the internet is that it's a great place for information, but it's also a great place for misinformation. What happens is you only find people who are struggling with this. When people recover, they're not on these forums. They're not online. They're not like talking and boasting about their anxiety recovery. They're just living their lives. And because it's anxiety and there's a stigma behind it, not a lot of people like expressing that they struggled with this. And so what happens is it's so easy to think that you're unique. But that's the first thing, that if you're struggling with anxiety, realize this is not a life sentence. And don't even just take my word for it. Look at other people that have fully recovered that actually help other members. Look at Paul David, who wrote At Last Alive, who has a very successful blog that's helped several people overcome. What does he say? You're not unique. You can come out of this. Barry McDonough, who's written The Dare Response, probably one of the most successful modern anxiety books out there. What does he say? Recovery is possible. Even the pioneer of Claire Weeks says recovery is possible. This isn't a life sentence. Everybody says this. Everybody says this. So this notion that somehow you're unique, that somehow what you're struggling with, even though it feels like it makes sense that you've had validation from forums, from your doctors, from friends, from family, because they don't understand what you're going through and you don't know anyone else that's gone through this, do not make the mistake that somehow you are unique or this is a life sentence. I'll give you an example. When I was struggling, when I recovered, and when I started telling people about my recovery journey, I remember I used to be posting my success journey on forums. I would tell people how I recovered and really give them good insight. What happened? You would think people would be like, wow, this is amazing. Like finally somebody recovered and he's actually sharing knowledge. The opposite happened. People would call me out. They would ask me, what are my intentions? What am I trying to sell? What's going on? Why are you doing this? Because it didn't seem accurate. It seemed like they were struggling for so long. Here's somebody that came in and is questioning their reality and saying, and challenging their reality and saying, no, you can fully get out of this. No long-term consequences. What they said was, no, that's not possible. I heard it's a life sentence. You can never fully overcome this. You can just cope with this. And what happened is that they would just kind of block whatever I was trying to say. And so what did I do? In consequence, I was like, okay, fine. If you don't believe my story, let me show you some people who've actually recovered. I've shown success stories. I've shown people that have fully recovered. These are real life individuals. And I ended up posting that as well and saying, look, these people are doing it too. You're not unique. And what do you think would happen? Do you think they would say, oh, well, yeah, Shaan's right. Yeah, maybe I'm not unique. Maybe I can get out of this. What ended up happening? The opposite. They ended up saying, oh, well, maybe he's hiring somebody, or maybe these guys are just making stuff up. Anything to essentially protect themselves from recognizing that this doesn't have to be a life sentence. So when I'm looking at people that are serious about overcoming, I look at the notion of the fact that, do they think this is a life sentence? Do they feel like they're unique? This is the most dangerous thing about anxiety. And if you really want to focus on overcoming, you have to put that to the side. Regardless of what you've read on the internet, regardless of what people have told you, there are success stories. People have recovered. People have gone back living totally normally. It's totally possible. So you may be wondering, okay, how do I recover? How do I get out of this? If you really want to know how, I put a link down below. This is a free report that essentially shows you step by step how I get individuals to fully overcome. This is exactly how I overcame. This is exactly how I help other people overcome. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not keeping anything a secret. I'm just demystifying all the misinformation and showing you exactly what works. This is absolutely free. It's for you because when I was struggling, my mission is that if I can get out of this, I really want to help others fully come out of it. So this is for you. So the last thing I'm going to say is really focus on long-term freedom. Recognize this isn't a life sentence. You are not unique. What you're struggling with, plenty of people have struggled with, and it doesn't mean that you're broken or you're abnormal. All that means is that you just haven't been focusing on the right steps because you just don't know what the right steps are. If you go on the internet or if you talk to different people, everybody has their own idea about anxiety and how to get out. And so if you're struggling and you can't get out, it isn't because your anxiety is special. It just means that you haven't been focusing on the right steps. If you focus on the right steps, recovery actually is inevitable. Now, if you really want to be part of a community with individuals that are actually focusing on recovery, if you want to be part of a community of people who've actually recovered, if you want to be part of a community of people that are actually getting better, I'll put a link down below. This is my private Facebook group. In this group, I'm posting exclusive content that I'm not posting on any other social media platform. I'm really helping individuals fully overcome. Even the people that I've helped are also in this community helping other members. So if you want to join, hit the link down below. It's going to ask you 3 questions, okay? It's really important that you answer these 3 questions to the best of your ability. We want people in the group. We really want to help as many people as possible, but we can't do that at the cost of the integrity of the group. What I mean by that is if you've gone to any forum or any group in general, you see it's not a very safe space. It's kind of a toxic place. It's a place where a lot of people are sharing their negativity. Everyone's kind of story topping each other. Everyone's scaring other members in the group. And it's just not a really constructive place to really focus on recovery. This group is. This group is serious about fully overcoming, not about coping, not about managing, but actually focusing on long-term freedom, not short-term comfort. So if that's you, hit the link down below, answer those 3 questions, and I'll see you guys inside.